Welcome to our final Pixel Inner Frustum podcast. We're here today with our special guest, Mark Wachholz. And today we are going to be talking a little bit about AI, a little bit about content creation, what all the hubbub is about, and also looking forward to hearing a bit of your insight about your experience. Recently, you had a short that won a competition from Curious Refuge, which was quite good, and that's how I came across your trailer and your film, and dove into like some really great and interesting insights, like how you got into it. So I think it'd be great for the audience to get a better picture of why you decided to use the tool, how you found it, some of the insights and stuff you could share with people. But first, just introduce yourself and give us a little bit of insight to your background, who you are, and what some of your background experience.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I'm a screenwriter from Germany. I was born and raised in Berlin and still live here, so that's cool. And I was born just before, or several years before the Berlin Wall came down. So I was born in East Berlin, and I kind of could experience two systems at once, like a couple of years a socialist regime growing up there, and then the wall came down. I lived pretty much a couple of meters in front of the wall. I saw it every day, and then in 1989 it came down, and then the two Germanys were reunited, and so I could experience the other system, that they were both in I don't know, in a Cold War contest or war, I would say. And I don't know how this made an impact on my life. I don't know, on my personality, but I think that's an interesting background, because nowadays I always look back at these times and these two systems, and I think I would say it kind of stabilized me a bit in my being, because I could experience that I can live in several very different systems and still exist, right? I can still make meaning about myself or whatever. So, and I was always interested in telling stories and creating stories, creating worlds. So I would say until right now, I was a screenwriter, right? So, and I will explain why I was it. Because now we are talking about AI and things are changing a lot. But in the last decades or two, I wrote some novels, I wrote some computer games or co-wrote them. I developed high concept series, mostly concepts for series, because it's very hard to get a TV show made, right? And then AI came along, and I think things are changing completely, and especially for me, because now I can execute or express my ideas without anyone else acknowledging or funding my ideas, or saying, okay, I give you the green light.
Right. So it's kind of democratized your ability to tell stories in the way that you want to tell, without having sort of any client oversight or any funding restrictions, things like that. And I think that's really exciting. Before I go into sort of my next question, where it focuses a bit on the AI, I love the background that you shared with us, because I think for great storytelling, quite often, this is some of my training as well, is that you have to have lived, have some life experience, have some perspective in which you can draw from to be able to create those stories. So I've been to Berlin as well. I've seen the wall, and it is quite, intimidating, but also beautiful experience to see and to witness, and to live there and grow up, and to see the shift in the different ways in which the government and society and culture shifts around. East of Berlin is very artistic. I remember going to one building. It was an old kind of derelict building, but the artist had remade it like 4 or 5 different floors, and there was like different art to look at on each different floor. It was almost like this co-op, and they had a car like, I don't know how they got it up on the third floor. They had a car on the third
Yeah,
floor.
that's Berlin. I
Um,
think that
yeah,
is very
so
much like Berlin. Yeah.
yeah, so it's really amazing, and I can see from the work, and of course the viewers are going to be able to see some of the work we're going to share with them, some of the pieces that you've done. I can very much see that that's influenced your work. But you said so AI has changed things. So you were a screenwriter, but now you're kind of something else. Now that you've created these pieces, and I wonder what was your initial interest in creating AI content specifically for this trailer competition, but did you play around with it first? Like, what was your initial interest in even testing the waters with AI?
Yeah. So I began really looking into AI creation like 2 years ago when image creation started, right? So Midjourney, DALL-E 2 was around this time, but mostly Midjourney. And then ChatGPT came along. This was, I don't know, 6 months later. Uh, and both opened up a real new way to create, I think. And of course, even right now, we are still in a testing and exploring phase, so nothing is finished, right? The tools are developing and evolving, but even playing around, creating the first images, chatting with an AI and get responses and feedback and so on. So I was immediately drawn into it because I think one thing is, of course, you can create things out from your mind, right? You can express things, you can bring it into reality by prompting something, and you get a picture or a text, and that's already very empowering and very powerful. It's like magic, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's because this technology, it, it dissolves pictures or text into kind of pixie dust, so magical pixie dust, and then
Mm-hmm.
you basically say a spell, yeah, right? You conjure up something with words, and the AI creates the thing you
Mm.
want, or close to a thing
Close,
you
yeah.
prompted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other point, that uh, I very early I felt that yes, you can prompt an AI to create an image or a text or later a video, but it will never be exactly the thing you want or you have in your mind. And a lot of people, I think, would render this as a kind of I don't have enough control, right? It's too random. It's by chance. I can't control the output as much as I want to do. But I think no, that's exactly the magic. That's the point. You get, yes, you don't have control over everything, but
Mm-hmm.
you get a lot of inspiration. There's the AI, in a sense, is becoming a kind of brainstorming buddy or a kind of a collaborator on your creative ideas or your creative journey. So
Mm-hmm.
the moment I have an idea, but I'm unsure. Sometimes I think, oh, I can call a friend, or hey, I have this idea. What do you think? And oh, I don't have time. Maybe later, or I don't know what you're talking about. But the AI
Mm-hmm.
is always responding. It's always
Mm-hmm.
nice to your ideas and has
Mm-hmm.
maybe more ideas. And they can be good, they can be not so good, but you are at the helm of choosing what do you want to
Yeah.
be inspired by, right? By the output.
Right.
And that's what drew me in, I think, when I reflect back now, that there's someone, and I'm making quotation marks here,
Mm-hmm.
or something that responds to your ideas, builds on those ideas, and feedbacks, gives you feedback. And
Mm-hmm.
that's very powerful because we, it's like entering a new way of creativity, of creating things, of yes, it's accelerating brainstorming, or even then production of images or videos also.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, for me, it's more interesting that there's something that I can bounce my ideas off. Um,
Yeah, I think that's a really key thing too, because as screenwriters, quite often we write in isolation, right? We don't have
yeah.
we don't have anybody to sort of feed those like ideas off of unless you have a writing partner or maybe you've got an
Yeah.
agent or an editor or publisher. And we had a great masterclass with Chris McKenna, who's our creative director at Final Pixel, and he was saying, one of the things he was talking about with AI is that clients buy work based on certainty. And right now, AI is very difficult to find that certainty with creativity. It's getting better and better. I mean, all of the posts of, people who are working in AI and sharing, visuals and things that they're doing are getting better and better and better. And with Runway's latest version, that prompt that you put in for that last image that you want people to see it's quite telling because it's very cinematic and you can land on an emotion and things like that. But it still takes a really good skill and probably, as you can tell us, a lot of time playing around with prompts and figuring out what works and doesn't work. So tell us a little bit about your workflow. Like you came up with this concept that your background has informed that story idea. Tell us a little bit about how did you come up with that concept and what was the workflow that you engaged in to start bringing it to life?
Yeah. So initially, this was not a TV show idea or concept. I did research because I'm lecturing every year on my former film school about movie history. So I do this for the last 18 years. And the first 20 minutes of this movie history, because it's a movie history from the very beginning to the future. So it covers everything in four sessions, for 4 weeks, basically. And the first, I would say, 20 minutes are not when cinema started, like in the end of the 19th century, but like 1 or 2 million years ago. Because my argument is cinema started there, right? And this what we call cinema is just the end point of a long development process, like 2 million years or so. And of course, you start with symbolism and the symbolic mind and go, I don't know, in 20 minutes, right through all of human history. And one part I always wanted to make clear, or to at least explore, where do our stories come from? Why do we tell the stories we tell, right? Where's the formula coming from, or the formulas? So, and one part is Christian history, Christianity. So I researched like this, where's the Jesus stories are coming from, and then I stumbled upon this idea. It's a thesis, a theory that not only so historians know that nothing that was written about Jesus actually happened. These are all fictions, but they still acknowledge, but there was a guy, right? And some, I don't know, sprinkles of truth are in there. And then you can push this idea and say, maybe there wasn't even a guy. Maybe story conjured this person up, like many other mythological persons or gods or so. So, and I wanted to cover this, right? Reading a little bit about it, and then cover how powerful stories can be, that even maybe we can prove it, right? If it's true or not, that Jesus existed or not. But it's a possibility, maybe even a probability. And so we can make the case that stories are very, very powerful. And we have a lot of examples throughout history where stories are basically more powerful than reality, than factual reality. So, and then I had this cool idea, from this historian, and well, I'm a screenwriter as well. I'm not only lecturing movie history. So I thought, well, how could this be a TV show? It would be awesome, but it would be a story about something that didn't happen. And then I engaged with ChatGPT and asked it, well, what do you think? I want to create a story. And that's very interesting, the dialogue with ChatGPT, because yes, it had some ideas, but most of them I didn't like. I said, yeah, well, yeah, and then there's this person who discovers an ancient ritual, and so no, I don't want to have any supernatural stuff in there. And what I did, I always corrected ChatGPT. right? It made some suggestions. Then I picked some random items I like, but the rest, no. And then I typed, well, no, it has to be this way. And then there's this global day of prayer, and then the Vatican chips in and says, yeah, we have to do this because so. And then I had it. I had the concept about a story that didn't happen, maybe, or a reality that didn't happen, and the impact on our recent culture, recent world, recent times. And
I love that you bent AI to your will.
yeah,
rather than a lot of people will just go, oh, well, ChatGPT said it that way, so maybe it's smarter than me, and I should just take what it is. I mean, you had a really clear, and I just want to signpost that because I think it's really important if you've got a creative vision that even though
yeah.
you get feedback, that you actually had this dialogue with it, whether you agreed with it or not. And I think that's a really important point of contention.
And
So
to,
I like that.
yeah, to add to this, because I think, in a sense, I don't know where AI and generative AI are going, but right now I think if I talk to a large language model, I'm not talking to a large language model, I'm talking to myself. That's basically what happened. Because all those ideas, oh, there could be an ancient ritual or whatever, and I could have had all these ideas in my head, but maybe over weeks or months, and always, oh no, correcting myself, and that's puts you kind of into a bad loop because, oh no, I only have bad ideas, right? But if another, it's like an externalization of your mind who says all those things within a day or within an hour, and you can say, no, that's not, but you're onto something, or I'm onto something
Yeah.
here. But you do the decisions, and you are talking to yourself, I think. So it's like an extended mind. I see it, at least I see it like this. And in this way, it's faster. It's you're collaborating with yourself, basically, but without, you can always blame the the AI to come up with the bad ideas, and you have all the good ideas or whatever. So, and that's very interesting because seeing AI, generative AI as a kind of externalization of yourself, I think there's something with it that we can make something out of it and see it differently than, oh, there's a program, a digital code who just creates things that human have created until now.
So once you had the script, or at least an outline of a script idea, what was your next step? Like, what did you do after that? Did you storyboard and sketch out some ideas, or did you just go straight into an AI tool to start generating images?
Yeah, so the way it normally works is if you have a idea for a TV show, you write a concept paper or pitch paper, and nobody pays you for that, right? At least you. Normally, I don't have a producer who says, "Yeah, Mark, here's all the money I have. Please write me
Yeah.
this." This
So
happens.
normally it's a treatment essentially that you're putting together that gives a summary of the story, right?
Yeah, or first even like a kind of a commercial paper. Like, here's my idea in January. Here's a log line. Here's what's happening.
Right.
Just maybe 10 pages or so. And I wanted to do this, but then the trailer competition popped up in my stream, and I saw this. Okay, no, why write a concept paper first when I can create an AI trailer, a concept trailer? Because it's like 1,000 times more powerful than a paper, right? We have this saying in German, paper is patient, right? So you can write a lot of things on paper, but nobody will read it, right? It will always sit on the side of the table, and yeah, I read it later.
Yeah, right.
So, but a trailer is a unique way of conveying an idea, and not only an idea, but emotions, a world, right? It's visual. It's drawing you in. So, and I first saw this competition call like 3 weeks before the deadline. So I knew, okay, I have 3 weeks. And I need to do this. I need to enter something into the contest. And I chose this project. I have a lot of projects that I'm floating around in my head or writing down. And this was probably one of the most ambitious. Therefore, it was very, very fitting to create with AI, because you can't create even a concept trailer if you go out and film it, or so, for this kind of TV show, because
Right.
the Vatican, the whole world, masses of people praying. So I thought, yeah, if anything, then this.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting as well because quite often when Unreal came on the scene for virtual production after Mandalorian and a couple of years ago, Unreal was the tool for using a visualization tool for creative, for screenwriters, for directors, for DOPs to be able to explain their conceptual idea in a very visual way. But of course, Unreal is a very powerful tool, but also requires a lot of learning curve, and a lot of training to get it to bend to your will, versus AI that essentially can spin out images. It may not be exactly what you want, but it doesn't require the interface that you would need for Unreal. But what it sounds like is, you had 3 weeks in which you had to essentially train yourself. You're working through this model to build something. And I think what stood out the most for me, yes, the generative AI images were really stunning, and it was really a beautiful visual piece of work. But I think at the end of the day, what really stood out for me is the storytelling frameworks that you use. I mean, clearly it came from someone who was educated in film, someone who understood pace and tone and style, understood the protagonist, the hero's journey, the antagonist, the evil corp, kind of all of those things. But you also, dripped in a little bit of red herrings, and you did just enough to keep people watching. And that takes real craft. And, again, to use it in a visualization tool like generative AI and to craft it together. I'm curious what was so the scripting part was great to see how you generated those ideas. But once you started building the images and started piecing it together, because if you didn't storyboard it beforehand, how did you generate that story unfolding, and start putting the pieces together and then editing it? Like what was that experience like?
Yeah. So first I had two rules I went into with. So the first rule was I really wanted to feel like a movie trailer, right? So everything we love about movie trailers, I have to create the same feeling so that it almost feels like if this shows up in a real theater, I would think, yeah, well, that's a real thing, right? The TV show is starting. When is this thing starting? And the second rule was I won't put any shot in that I don't that doesn't really work. So where I'm if the technology isn't there yet, I don't try to like people running, and the AI can really generate people running. So I don't put a shot in there where people are barely moving, or it's kind of weird and wonky. So I let all this out. And then I think for me myself, the most interesting part in this creation process over the 3 weeks was I am a screenwriter, but I didn't script the trailer. I have experience in scripting trailers, like concept trailers, because producers or directors ask me, hey, we want to really shoot a movie trailer or concept trailer. We have to script it, right? We have to know to which locations we go and what we shoot, what are the assets, because we are limited with our budget and our time. And it never worked, I think. You script something, it's difficult to write a movie, but writing a trailer, it's even more difficult, I think, because the feeling a trailer generates, you can't put it really onto the page. So, and for the AI trailer, I didn't have to do it because I don't know if I changed my mind like 24 hours before the deadline for any particular shot, I can create it, right? And the other reason was I think maybe experienced enough to know to trust the AI that it will give me more or different things than I have in my mind. So I want to be open to this possibility. I don't want to script everything out and then be frustrated. Oh, I can't get this shot. I really had it here and I need this. So no. I had a bare outline, like starting with the UN building, like with the world, and then let people explain a bit the premise. And then I knew in the end, there will be the big shots, right? The cool scenes, the people praying all around the world and in the most iconic places. So I knew that, but everything else, I kind of tiptoed my way into it while creating. And that's very beautiful because, yes, I first started with a music outline. So you need a music track because trailer is rhythm, and I wanted to edit the trailer onto the music cues.
Right.
So I started with that. But then I knew, okay, here I have a build-up. Here I will have some of these intertitles, right, that flash in, like the greatest story ever told, has never happened, and so on. And so I spent a lot of time coming up with these, right? What would be the best catchy intertitles that pop up? But everything else, I kind of created while going. So it's like, what is the saying? Building wings while falling down the cliff or something like this.
Yeah.
And I really like this process to kind of be excited what the AI will create. And of course, the more you create, the more you get a feeling for it. But I knew that the trailer will only be finished when the last piece of puzzle will be put into, right? So
Right.
I can feel the vibe already, but it's not there. But I see, oh, this section is pretty cool, this section. And then what you said that, yeah, I come from a storytelling perspective. And this, like, for example, this created the first introduction. Like before, I thought I would start with the UN building, right? This is how Hollywood movie trailers start. Like you have the city shot or
Big
something like
wide
that.
master shot. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I thought, no, I have to introduce the protagonist first. And so I created this 20-second sequence with her standing in front of this weird statue of Jesus with the angel wings and the sword in hand. So this is not our usual Jesus. And so I could kill two birds with a stone, right? I could introduce her, give her a line about what she wants to do, what's her passion. And I could introduce subconsciously maybe or visually already the idea that something is different with Jesus and Jesus Christ in this story, in this world. And then you work your way up until you are finished. And this is, I think, yeah, I'm not so much, I'm not a tech guy per se. So I love using tech, but I'm not diving deep into it. So I only had Midjourney and Runway as tools for visualization.
Right.
And everything else, I thought, yeah, I have to either work around or solve through storytelling, like those shots when characters look at each other and I know what you're doing, I know what you are doing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think this maybe could be that this is reflected in the trailer
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Did you find that when you were inputting all of your prompts to generate these ideas and it's generating lots of different visuals and you're kind of building the story as the visualization coming out, and of course that would probably prompt new ideas or, oh, I hadn't thought about that, or maybe this different way. Did you find maybe overwhelmed, or that it gave you too much material to choose from? What were some of your challenges that you ran into as you were building the story?
Yeah, that's a good point because I think the overwhelm is quite common with generative AI, and I mean it's funny because we always want to be the people in charge, right? So this is what a director does, right? There's this, I think, in Fellini's 8.5, there's the struggling director, right? Oh, I don't know if I'm a good director. And then there's this lady like from the costume department or something. And she says, what are you talking about, right? It's direct. To be a director is the easiest job in the world. You just have to say, I give you some clothes, white or black, and you say black, or red or blue, and you say blue. So you just have to make decisions, right? What's hard about that? And of course, if you are able to generate for one shot 100 variations, 100 variations, you have to choose, right? And it's like, I don't know, it's like a deal with the devil. I don't know. So I want to be the creator in charge. Yeah, of course. Here you go. Here are 100 different images of what you want. You have to choose now. But I think, yeah, we all have to go through this, and it's better than to have nothing, right? To have multiple ideas, but you can't create anything of it because you don't have the money or you don't have the technology or whatever. So I always thought, well, if I can choose, everything is fine. Maybe I choose the wrong picture. Maybe there was an even better shot. But in the end, nothing matters, right? People don't know what other 99 shots Midjourney created or so. And on the upper hand, you always have this. I mean, it happens in filmmaking too, that you have happy accidents and some you think, let's do this scene, but there's improvisation. The light is something somehow different suddenly, and you think, oh well, this looks great. No? I never had thought about this. And with generative AI, this happens a lot, and I love this. I counted on this already.
Yeah.
So, and there are some shots in the trailer that I just clicked, and somehow the runway created this cool image or this cool movement, and I thought, oh my God, I'm so happy that I got the chance to keep this, right? That it appeared on my computer or not on someone else's. And this is the deal, and I think it's a new kind of creativity, but it's a powerful way.
Yeah. Well, I think going back to my original statement that I made earlier, where clients buy certainty, right? But utilizing this as a conceptual tool to come up with generative AI, ideas that you could then obviously creating something in a vacuum, like for a competition or like just generating new ideas, exploring the tool and using it. Pitching it in front of a client obviously would be a very different experience because they would have very specific needs, even if they gave you a brief beforehand. And of course, there's also the ethics question, that there's a lot of controversy around how these AI tools are scraping, data and internet from other people's work to generate and reshuffle it around and use stuff. So then there's always the ethics side of you can do one thing for education. So quite often we'll tell our students, if you create and use licensed materials, as long as it's for education purposes or Creative Commons, it's fine. But if you're going to monetize it and sell it or put in, it has to come with a whole host of other legalities. And I'm just wondering what you think beyond the creative conceptual idea in the way in which you utilized it, to how you think it will fare in the commercial sector, where there's still a lot of contingencies and a lot of people very reticent to use this tool because of the ethical and the IP issues.
Yeah. So I think, first of all, we have to talk about how this all works. And as I told you earlier, I'm kind of researching a bit how culture, how stories evolve over time, right? Where are our stories come from? Where's our cultures are coming from? And if you look at the history of culture, of stories, you see there's no originator, right? Everything is building on everything that came before. So I know we, at least in the Western world, have this notion of the genius creator, of the the personal creator, the people who come up with ideas, right? But I think that's just another story, because nobody creates art or visuals or anything in a vacuum, right? They build on culture. They're built on concepts that not people came up before, but culture developed, right? So if we are interacting with anything that we call art or creation, we are not so much, I think, interacting with a single human being, but with a culture, with history. And there's a reason that copyright law, maybe at least in many of the countries, are excluding, maybe all countries, excluding concepts from being copyrighted, right? You can't copyright the idea of a wizard and a young boy wizard in the wizard school, right? So that's where AI comes in, and AI learns, as far as I understand it, the concepts. It dissolves everything it sees into dust, into digital dust, and strips out the concepts that it sees. And the power lies in how detailed it sees concepts like styles or subjects or anything. So you can argue that AI doesn't violate any copyright as we understand it. And because copyright is also a made-up concept, right? I don't know, it exists like 200 years. It's quite connected to capitalism, rise of capitalism and industrialization. So there's no a cosmic rule that we can't discuss what copyright means, how to protect people who want to create art. And I would always say, if we want to protect like people who don't have power and want to create art, we can do this with anything else but just forbid or restrict AI. Because AI is also empowering a lot of those people, right? And copyright is also helping corporations, you could argue, much more than the individual creator, right?
Yeah.
So that's my take on. I would say, yeah, we have so many problems in the world, so we need new technology to solve those problems for our own benefit, and AIs need to learn our concepts, our culture. We can, of course, there's a kind of I don't know if it's a danger, but there's certainly something new in the scalability, right? If because now a kind of actor or agent or technology enters the scene, then that can create culture or beauty or art in a second or a millisecond, and it's scaling up. But at least right now, I would argue that yes, I'm able to create more or different things or closer to the final product or thing, but it's still a lot of work, right? Even creating a trailer or writing a concept, even with the help of AI, it's a lot of work. And if technology can, I don't know, offload some of my mental load or take over, then I'm all for it. But I
Well,
also, yeah.
no, go ahead. Finish your
Yeah.
statement. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut in.
But I'm also aware that we have to have those conversations, right? We have to have the conversations, like who is typing, all the people who are typing, like labeling the images and videos for, I don't know, for basically no money in Africa or Southeast Asia. So we have to be aware of that. Just like we have to look at social media or all the other technologies. And on the other hand, because you asked about the IPs, right? Like how do we deal with existing IPs maybe? Yeah, it's funny because like take one of the biggest IPs in the history of of movies, at least Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars is a complete a mix-up of everything that came before. B-movies and Leni Riefenstahl and everything Pulp Fiction. And so it's like a hodgepodge, a mix-up of everything that came before. And because it was such a success, now people are invested in having this IP, this intellectual property, but I would say it's a cultural property. There's nothing new other than it's what you throw in creates something new. This is the same AI does, right? And
it's really interesting because I think the guardrails, that people are still formulating around AI are the same conversations that we had, 18, 20 years ago, even around collective arts and Google Images and using, that kind of imagery, or even when YouTube came out and then did the Creative Commons or any of the libraries of art that you can use. I can't remember the name of the tool, but there's a couple of tools that allow you to use the photography for free as long as you will confirm who the artist is or give them some sort of a notation in your piece. It's very difficult to do that with AI because obviously it's a collection of many, many, many pieces, like you said, of pieces of work that just sort of collide and then comes up with something new. And so it's it's definitely an ongoing conversation. We're not going to solve it in this podcast, but I just thought it was really interesting, again, to see where people's viewpoints are on the side of ethics and IP when it comes to AI, because it's an amazing tool. And my last question to you is that at the very beginning you said I'm a screenwriter, but now I'm something else, right? And I think this experience, at least from what you've shared, means that screenwriters who quite often don't get maybe the accolades they deserve for coming up with the story worlds in the first place now have a tool that they can visualize that story out of their brain or off of the piece of paper, so it's not so patient anymore, and other people actually get to see that story. And I wonder how that will shift the model of the creator versus you handing it over to a director who then makes it their own, and you've got that whole auteur stamp to that piece of work. What opportunities do you think you see opening up from your experience and from AI for other people? Like you said, it gives a lot of people who don't have a voice an opportunity to create and share. Do you think it's another democratization tool, or do you think the corporations will grab a hold of it, ring fence around it, and we will not have opportunities to explore like we do? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the history of humankind says or suggests both things will happen, right? Corporations will, of course, grab this power and try to make something with it. On the other hand, people will grab this power, and at least the early steps in AI were all about we give it to the people. If that's not a bit overblown as a sentence, but even OpenAI, Midjourney, Runway, yes, you have to pay for it, but it's not like massive costs, right? You can, if you can create a cool concept trailer within a month, okay, you pay, I don't know, $100 and $30 for Runway, and or 95 or $30 for Midjourney, and you can go. You are ready to go. And of course, tools will evolve, but prices will come down. Then corporations will come in, and they're already coming in and using these tools, I think. And I think it will shift the way we create, but there will be new positions. There will be something like maybe creators or screenwriters or camera people or directors, but maybe everyone comes a bit closer together. Everyone is doing their part, maybe a bit more equalized, more collaborative. But then on the other hand, I think the quality will rise due to AI. So at least this is what happened when CGI, right, came in, and I don't know, the animation movies. Everybody thought, oh well, now we can make animation movies cheaper, right, for less money. But what happened? They grew bigger, and people wanted to see more quality, and so the costs, even with the new technology, rose instead of came down. So, and I think this will also happen. But if I had to, I don't know, look into the future, I would say AI will, at one point in the not too distant future, will upend all the filmmaking we know today. I think it's too powerful, even in these very early stages, right? A year ago, AI video didn't look very good. Just 12 months later, and we are already here. And I don't know, in 24 months, what will not be possible, right? So there will be completely AI generated movies. There will be movies that will be generated while you are watching. So I anticipate something like this. So that maybe there's a scanner that reads your facial emotions, and oh, he's drifting off, right? Right. We have to put in a big explosion and change the story. The audience.
We will all be living in Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror world, I think.
Maybe, yeah. But I'm not dystopian about it, right? It's not. I'm not so dystopian about the future and AI, because it will always be an interplay. If studios or streamers are able to create AI movies on the fly, right, instantly, it could be that nobody cares to watch them. We don't know, right? Because maybe it's too artificial. Maybe the stories are all the same. Maybe things that we, I don't know, like don't happen, or they don't surprise us, or they surprise us too much, or something is missing, and maybe other people will shoot real movies with real actors, and there's something more to it, like theater, right? Theater is in decline, like decades. It's a decade-long process, but there's something special about theater, that it's live, that the actors have to know their lines at this specific moment while you're watching. So and nobody knows. So I think exploring the technology is the best we can do.
Amazing. So what would be one piece of advice you could offer to somebody who was looking at AI or wanted to get started with AI?
Yeah, just do it. I think that's the best advice. Don't hesitate. Don't try to, I don't know if I can do this or that. Just try it out. Just try simple things, little things. Put something close, something small together. Just I don't know. Sometimes I'm just in Midjourney and trying out new aesthetics, and I can get lost in those aesthetics. And oh, what images can it create? And there's no particular project attached to it, right? It's just an experience. It's just experience this brainstorming body, or this external mind of yourself, because I mostly create things they turn out that I like, right? So there's something. This is somehow something in my mind that I'm looking at, right?
Yeah.
That I have a connection maybe with.
And you have nothing to lose, right? It's just
No,
it's your time.
yeah,
So
and I think maybe the biggest advice I would give is just try it out, because it reduces fear of this technology. So if you have fear that, oh, it could take over my job, or I don't know, it somehow could change art or creation and so try it out, and you are in control of it. You can experience feelings of control and discovery and exploration. So I like to frame it as something cool, right? An aesthetic exploration, a kind of new our new creative ships rise into the space and explore the unknown space that AI can let us explore, or we explore together. So I think, yeah, I have a very positive view on this technology, just because we can do something cool with it. We can do something bad with it, but we as creators can do something cool with it. So why don't
Spoken
we?
like spoken like a true creator on a journey.
Yeah, and I think all the frustrations that creators have, maybe, are like writer's block, or I can't draw as well as my neighbor, or whatever. All those things lose intensity, and it supercharges or empowers your own ideas, your own way of making things, and that's, I think, very positive, very encouraging.
Amazing. That's a great thing to land on finishing up. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate all of your insight. Very interesting. We will definitely, obviously share the trailer. We look forward to I've seen some of your other concepts that you've put out on your YouTube channel. So definitely looking forward to seeing more ideas that you create, and what happens next for you. This is really exciting. And I think a lot of creatives and screenwriters, who are writing in their bedrooms, just gives them another outlet, a creative tool. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for sharing your journey and your experience with everyone. I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. I was very happy to be here, and I hope, things will go the way I imagine. We will see.